Hello pop pickers, welcome to Vicious Vinyl, where we talk about everything that bangs, clangs and twangs in the world of music. And today we are talking about a collection. It's a two-part video talking about a collection of bands that sort of were playing from between sort of 88, 89 to 96 and beyond, but I'm just going to cut it there. Basically bubbling under what the mainstream was doing. The mainstream was gearing up for Britpop. And aside from a couple of bands that turned out to be just a retro mod thing ish, but underneath is what I'm calling Britpunk right now, which is a loose collection of bands with a similar outlook on life and a similar melodic sense to their music. And I was around, I went to most of these gigs. There are personal anecdotes coming up. But we're going to start off with one of the bands that pretty much most people who know UK punk from the 90s will know, because they very close made it, signed to Sony in the end and released some top 40 hits. But we're going to start with the Senseless Things. Mark Ked's being the primary songwriter, visionary, great singer, guitar player. Played with the Wild Arts later on and sadly left us too soon. They started with I'm Moving, flexi disc right here, which has got low time and all you've got to do and stay together on it. Great little flexi. I guess it was cheaper to produce a flexi at that time. What do I know? We were doing cassettes. But anyway, that was their first one. Next thing they did was probably my favourite thing that they did of all. On Red Records, they released the Up and Coming EP. There it is. Very minimalist cover. The Up and Coming EP, and the only thing it had on the back was the address of Nutty Keds and his house. This has got the amazing Where the Secret Lies and I Want to Go Back on it. I don't wanna let you go. No, I don't wanna let you go. That is just a brilliant 4-track EP that you can pick up, not very expensive. Most of the records that I'm talking about today, you can pick up not very expensive on Discogs and places like that, because it's not really a well-regarded or expensive scene, apart from a couple of them, which we'll talk about later. Next thing, they did a couple of singles. They signed to Way Cool and did a couple of singles. First one being Girlfriend, Standing in the Rain. Two amazing tracks. No more standing in the rain. No more standing in the rain. Absolutely brilliant. Followed that up with, this may have come out after the album, but because it's a single I'm going to stick with it, with Too Much Kissing with Trevor on the B-side. Absolutely great record, and I believe that this may be the first time that we saw the art of Jamie Hewlett come in, which he obviously started to do. Jamie Hewlett, you will know probably, is the guy that co-founded Gorillaz with Damon Albarn and is responsible for the art style. Anyway, Jamie Hewlett was there, present again on their debut LP for Way Cool, Postcard CV. Postcard CV is wicked. It's got Trevor on it, it's got Come Together, it's got Sneaking Kisses, Laura Lamora. This is a brilliant album, and you should get it. And if you get it now, if you get it from Apple Music or stream it or whatever, you will get the tracks from Up and Coming on it as well. So no reason to not, eh? Later on, after this, they would sign to Sony, and they would become almost famous, as they say. Their second album, called Empire of the Senseless, if you were canny enough to get it early, you would have got this lovely 2-for-1 pack in its own unique sleeve. There you go, with the hype sticker still on it, where you got, not only did you get Empire of the Senseless with Homophobic Asshole and all those great tunes on it. But you also got Postcard CV. How amazing is that? On the same double disc thing, both different albums together, including redesigned inner bags as well. So yes, and then later on Jamie Hewlett became more and more involved, and we had these amazing covers like First of Too Many, which was probably their most successful thing. And that is the Senseless Thing. Next up for the other band that almost made it famous, and the other band with an amazing singer-songwriter, gone too soon, and we are of course talking about Wiz and Mega City 4. Absolutely wonderful band, Mega City 4. Saw them loads of times. Saw them loads of times, man. And they took a very straightforward 7-inch after 7-inch route to their first album, and their first single was an absolute banger. The first single was called Miles Apart, and here it is. And it was released on Primitive Records.
Well, I'm standing in the rain, and I'm thinking once again how the way we see is never quite the same.
But very sort of quickly, they then signed to Decoy Records, who released it again, almost in identical packaging, just with the record label changed. But still, either one of these, absolute banger. And that's the first single that Mega City 4 did. And you think, well, it can't get any better than that, but it can, because then you get Clear Blue Sky. That's Clear Blue Sky right there. An absolutely wonderful record. A wonderful, wonderful record, and also has Distant Relatives on the B-side, also on Decoy, and absolutely rather fabulous. And then, could it get any better? Who knows? Because maybe in a little dig to their mates around the corner down south, they released Less Than Senseless, another absolutely banging single, with Dancing Days Are Over on the other side. Brilliant. And we're leading up to one of the greatest debuts of all time, in my mind. And that is the very wonderful Transophobia, also on Decoy. This is the original spanking blue vinyl edition. It must have been re-released again. It has come out on CD. It must have been re-released again. This has got Star on it, New Year's Day, Severe Attack of the Truth. January, every song on here is absolutely brilliant, and you should definitely buy it. And they stuck with Decoy for a little bit longer. They released the single Awkward Kid, also absolutely banging single, and then and arguably Complicated is even better, but their second album, here it is, Who Cares Wins. What an album this is. Also on Decoy, another absolutely great record. Neither of these two albums, as far as I know, are streaming. Somebody must have a rights issue. You can stream their latest stuff, but not these two. They were available on CD. It's quite expensive to get the CDs now. It's weird, that, isn't it? Anyway, after that, Mega City 4 went almost into the stratosphere, signed to a major, released some absolutely banging albums, including Sebastopol, which many people think is their best. I'm going to stick with Transophobia myself. And then, you know, like Senseless Things, sort of ran out of steam. Such a shame, because they were absolutely, utterly fabulous. And speaking of those two bands, it would behoove me to mention at this point a compilation series. Link Records used to do mainly sort of oi and psychobilly releases, street punk sort of stuff, but they did do two compilations, one of which features the Senseless Things and the other one features Mega City 4, and it was Underground Rockers. And if you look at that, you think, well, that's a psychobilly album, don't you, or something weird metal maybe, but it's not. It's all this kind of very tuneful, lovely punk. There's, you know, Guitar Gangsters are on here, The Crack are on here, great band, but also is Senseless Things doing Claudia, and more importantly Shattered, which is one of their greatest ever tunes, I believe it only appeared on here. What a wonderful track it is. It's about when Wiz met somebody famous, a hero, and then was sort of let down by them. Such a shame. And then, lo and behold, they released Underground Rockers 2. And on Underground Rockers 2, you have the Senseless Things with Legal Lies and the Bingo song. And also, interestingly, for all you Mannix fans, both sides of the Manic Street Preachers' first single, Suicide Alley and Tennessee I Get Low, are on part 2 of Underground Rockers. So get them. They were released on CD, but very limited numbers later on. But wonderful. So there you go. The compilation was huge, wasn't it, in those days before the rise of the internet? It was huge. Anyway, that was Mega City 4. Right then, next to a band that I didn't really think much of at the time. I saw them a few times. I liked them. I didn't really get into them till later, though. It's really weird. I bought the singles much later because at the time I was like more into the other bands on this list. But I've come to appreciate them, and I think at the time I felt that they were a bit more like American indie in styling. And almost grungy in places, and that really wasn't my thing. But over the years, they've grown on me a lot, and I've realised what a fool I was for not getting into them in the first place. And that band was Midway Still. And there's plenty of Midway Still around for you to listen to. They had a long career, and were quite popular. I'm just going to talk about the early stuff because that's all I've got, because it's all I saw. So the first single on Roughneck, called I Won't Try, there it is, available on 7-inch and 12-inch on Roughneck Records. Really good, but it does have that sort of slightly, compared to the other bands, slightly more American feel. Then
She lies silent in my eyes, captures and she tries to hide.
they backed it up with their next single, also on Roughneck, called Wish. And Wish is a great tune. And Roughneck thought that they were really going to be popular, so they hyped them up quite a lot. There's the Roughneck sales notes. Super cool new EP from London's Midway Still. It's a devastating cover of My Bloody Valentine's. You made me realise, and it is a devastating cover of My Bloody Valentine's. You made me realise it is great. And then they come up with their first album, also on Roughneck. It's called Dial Square, and I really don't know why I didn't really like it at the time, because I've listened to this on repeat recently when I was getting all this stuff together, and I absolutely think it's a wonderful record. It's great. It has a lot of melody. It just also has a lot of that sort of distortion-y stuff. It is brilliant. And it's got some great songs in it, like Round and Better Than Before. Making Time is really good. Making Time, Killing Time, really good. This album is available for you to stream, and you should do immediately, because it's a cracking record. They went on and made another record for Roughneck, also cracking, maybe not as cracking as Dial Square, but still cracking, and that was called Life's Too Long. And weirdly, it's a great album. It should have come with a free single, and I'm sure mine did, but don't know where it went, which is very sad, isn't it? But anyway, Midway Still, buy them, listen to them, have a go, give them a go, go on. Right then, now on to a sort of an odd story on the scene. A band that I saw once and only once in Camden Underworld. They were absolutely brilliant. They featured Laney from Leatherface, and they were really good. They were called Rugrat, and they released a couple of singles, had a legal battle, and then disappeared. But anyway, Rugrat were absolutely great band and really good live on the time I saw them. In fact, I bought a t-shirt which I wish I'd kept, because that would be quite rare now. Anyway, the first single from Rugrat was called, it's called Rhubarb. The actual record, it's called Rhubarb. There it was on Rugger discs. Also, you could, if you were lucky at the time, you could have bought a test pressing of it, of which there were only 50 test pressings done. And weirdly, the art came in this tracing paper thin thing. Mine is number 10 out of 50. And you also could get, if I can get it out, in the same package, the lyrics also on tracing paper, so almost impossible to read. 3 tracks on this single: Sad But True, Knee Deep, and Little Pig. Little Pig is a monster of a tune, but I think it's Sad But True. That is my favourite. Has the opening line, I hope you die alone with no one to mourn you. So that will tell you where they're going with that.
I hope you die alone when everyone can see. I have to walk away, keeping their hands free.
Later on, they released another single. This time they called it Bull Taco. Bull Taco had Double Dutch and New Grin on it. Really good single, this time on Damaged Goods. It's really, really good. Yeah, you should get it. It's exceptional. Then they got a sort of cease and desist, I believe, from Disney or whoever it was that was making the Rugrats cartoon show, if you remember that. So they decided, rather than fight it, they would change their name to the title of their previous EP. So they changed their name to Bull Taco. And they released one single on Bull Taco called In My Day, and there it is. And it's also absolutely fantastic. And it's such a shame that they sort of disappeared after that. The B-side, Under the Ladder, also really good on this. They disappeared after this. Don't know where they went. Like I say, I only saw them live once. If you go on there, they've got a Bandcamp page, but literally no more information than I'm telling you now. In fact, what Bandcamp doesn't tell you is that there was another Rugrat recording. There was. And it was on Damaged Goods did a Christmas EP called Last Christmas I Gave You My Heart. A single and a flexi disc was this one. And Rugrat, they did a mental version of Cliff Richard's Mistletoe and Wine. And that might be the only other thing that they did. It's on a nice red vinyl. Look at that. It's on Damaged Puds label because it was Christmas. And you also got a flexi disc. There's the flexi disc right there. You also got a flexi disc. And on that flexi disc were the amazing Wat Tyler, who will come up later, and their song We Curse You, a Wicked Satan. Absolutely brilliant. So that's Rugrat. From obscure to obscura, but you can still buy their stuff reasonably cheap. So pick it up. Right, next we're going to talk about Northumberland's very own China Drum. They sort of, some of you might think they came late to the party, but actually they were going in 1989. They just didn't really record anything until 1993, but they managed to do tours with it, Ash and Green Day, and sort of bothered the charts a little bit. Should have got more than what they got. They were fantastic, 3-piece singing drummer, much like Snuff. And their first release was a CD single in 1993 called Simple, with On My Way and an acoustic version of Meaning on it. Then they signed to Fluffy Bunny Records and released 2 10-inch EPs, both which are really good. First one was called Great Fire. Of course, it has the song Great Fire, and it has a great song called Biscuit Barrel on it, and it has also Meaning from the single, and a live song called Down by the River, which is absolutely stunning.
Down by the river, it's getting cold. Down by the river, it's getting cold. It's getting cold.
Then the second 10-inch was called Barrier. There is Barrier right there. That has a One Way Down on it, and it has Barrier and Brain and Sleazeball, and very, very good. Later on, when they signed to another label. This was kind of revamped and released again. I don't have that. They also did, at this time, the thing that would make them most famous was they did a split single on Fierce Panda Records, the Welsh label, and on one side was Riot by the Flying Medallions, who were sort of on the scene at the time. More about them in a minute. And the other side was China Drum's version of Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights, and it immediately exploded. Got all over the radio, played on the evening session a lot. It totally exploded. It's probably what they're best known for, which is kind of a shame because their own stuff is amazing. But there you go. Anyway, talking about that band Flying Medallions, who were also on that, I was also in a band at the time called Cowpuncher, and we were actually invited to support these new upstarts, Flying Medallions, at the Dome in Tufnell Park, and our friends Diddley Squat were also invited. And then when we got there, there seemed to be some animosity, and then there was a little bit of an altercation. And the way Ira seemed to remember it is they started slagging us off from the stage, and we took umbrage, and there was a few things thrown from either direction, and then a little bit of fighting, and we had to sort of run to the dressing room and get our stuff and fight our way through their audience of trendy people who were all in acupuncture gear to get out. And it was fun night. It was a really fun night. And I thought that was the end of it, but then several months later I was in Our Price Records in Harrow, and I saw this. This is the Flying Medallions at one and only album, We Love Everything and Everything's Great, on Acupuncture Records. And I looked at it and I thought, that looks fun. And then I looked at side 1, track 3 is called Cowpuncher. So I thought, well, that can't be about us, can it? And actually, yes, it can. It is about us. It's about how much they fucking hate us. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's 41 seconds of diatribe against Cowpuncher. And I thought it's the greatest thing ever. And I still own it, and I'm happy to own it. Cowpuncher, you ain't welcome. Cowpuncher against your blood. Cowpuncher, you say shit. Cowpuncher, you stop. And it also came on this sort of vomit coloured vinyl. So there you go. Of course you might know Alex because he went on to form One Unit. But yeah, that's my interactions with Flying Medallions. Anyway, back to China Drum. Right, so China Drum come out with a couple more singles after that. Can't Stop These Things, which I believe had Wuthering Heights on the B-side, so that it could get a wider release. Then Pictures, also a great tune, and then Last Chance, also a really good tune, and then they released their debut record, and I believe their debut record is one of the best albums written, released during this entire time. So much better than all that Oasis crap stuff, Menswear, all that stuff. This album is genius. It's called Goose Fair. It's got a very interesting cover, like the single. I don't know what they were on about, but maybe it's because they grew up in a village. It's called Goose Fair, and it is more than fair. It is an absolutely spanking album. Can't Stop These Things, Cloud Now, Fall Into Place. Go on. It's a brilliant record. Everybody should own it. You should own it.
My mind can't stop the things that make me want it. My mind can't stop these things.
I believe you can stream it. Then later on they released a second album, and that didn't really move me that much. In fact, I don't even have it. And then the singing drummer, what's his name, Adam Lee, singing drummer Adam Lee switched to vocal only, and they got another drummer in. And then they briefly changed their name to The Drum, released some more stuff, and then split up, and then eventually came back recently they toured Goose Fair, and it was I was unable to go, which was very sad. But also I was quite sad to see that Adam Lee had appeared to have lost the use of his legs, and I can certainly sympathise with anyone with serious leg injuries. But regardless of what I think about their latest stuff, you should investigate it all. But this is a work of genius, punk rock melody, amazing, and a very British kind of sound. Unlike that pop punk American stuff, it's very British. Senseless Things had it, Mega City 4 had it, and the two bands in my next video will also have it. So anyway, that is the end of part one. When we are back, we, that is the end of part one. We will return with part two when we talk about the two most influential bands on the scene, if not, they weren't the most successful, but they were the most influential, and we will be back with those shortly.